This episode of the Gooner Ramble podcast is sponsored by the new app called Bookie. That's BOOKEE. Sign up by using the promo code Ramble, deposit and bet £10 and get a free £10 bet. That's Bookie, BOOKEE.
Hello and welcome to the Gooner Ramble podcast. I'm your host Giles, and joining me this evening are regulars Dave Seeger. How you doing, Dave? You alright?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. And you can catch Dave at Gooner Dave66. We've also got, returning from his hiatus for his only second appearance of the season, we've got Phil Costa. How you doing, Phil?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate.
Good, man. You can catch Phil at _Phil Costa. Right, so let's look at the hot takes from the weekend. It was a disastrous 2-1 defeat at Vicarage Road. We managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Some more hot takes from that were, it's 4 games, only 1 point gained from away trips and only 1 goal scored. And then over the course of 2017, we've only taken 14 points away from home, which is worse than Swansea's points tally from away from home. And 3 of our main rivals, Man City, Chelsea and Tottenham, have more than double the away points we've taken away from home. Also, we were talking about Troy Deeney's and Tom Cleverley's comments, and basically trying to work out, get under the skin of why we struggle to create and dominate and put away a team such as Watford on the weekend. So let's start with you, Phil. When you saw the team line up, what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't overly concerned. I wasn't overly inspired either, but I wasn't concerned. I mean, the front three, whilst not at full strength, we've seen them play well together against Chelsea twice, once in the Community Shield and once in the league. So I was fine with that. Iwobi's playing well. Welbeck was playing well before his injury. So, that was fine. We had our strongest wing backs out, in Kolasinac and Bellerin, which was, perfect. Per came into the central defence, which I was fine with. There was 2 notable absentees, Alexis and Aaron Ramsey, which, they drive us mad at times because they play that risk and reward style. So that was my main sort of, like I said, it wasn't a concern, but that was my one sort of, problem looking at the lineup, because they offer a lot going forward. And I just think with Xhaka and Elneny, we don't quite have that penetration from midfield.
Dave, over to you. I mean, do you understand the thought process behind Wenger starting with Elneny and Xhaka over, say, Wiltshire, who's there and we've been wanting to see him gain some Premier League minutes?
My personal view is that I will side with the player, and if Jack says he's fit, then I think he's fit. I've certainly spoken to people who've been watching him in training, and he's smashing it. On the flip side, Wenger's obviously deciding to be ultra cautious. That's, if I'm being generous, I think maybe there's more of an issue there. And then having said that, you then hear the news coming out that there's talk of a new contract on Monday, which I think was a bit of deflection after the bad news from the weekend. But no, I didn't understand it. From a personal point of view, I did understand it. From Wenger's point of view, I would agree with Phil. Whilst not been inspired by those two together as a partnership, you think there's enough creativity and running elsewhere in the side that we should have been okay to beat a side like Watford. Would you that wasn't the case. Looking
at the team, the team, despite the absentees, you've got Elneny in there who kind of replicates Ramsey in terms of his engine, his work rate. We've got both Iwobi and Welbeck, again, strong runners, especially Welbeck. He does his work. He's very, very studious and diligent about working defensively as well as up front. So to me, it looked like he went for a team of athletes. Don't know if they could match Watford's physicality, because Watford are quite a big side, but it looked like Wenger was trying to match up, with athletes rather than artisans, because obviously Wiltshire and Ozil sort of veer onto the artisan side of things. I mean, for me, I thought I could kind of understand where he was trying to go with it, but with Elneny and Xhaka, I don't know if we've won a game no, we have won a game. I think it was Leicester, right? We won 4-3 with them in midfield, but I mean, it wasn't convincing. And when you got those two in midfield, I don't know if obviously they haven't spent a lot of time playing together in terms of competitive matches, but there's this arc of boredom that sort of envelops our team where we kind of pass in that crab-like fashion, the horseshoe fashion, if you want to call it. And, Watford were allowing us down the sides and we weren't really getting, apart from the fact that we were dominating large parts of the match, we weren't really putting them away in in the same sort of style as someone like Man City, who went there only a few weeks before and smashed them 6-0. Do you think the fact that we have only gained 1 point away from home this season, we've only gained 14 through the whole of 2017, has had a negative effect on how we play away from home? Are we more nervous? Are we more cautious compared to the other teams? Or do you think it's just a mental thing? I mean, how do you see, when you look at those facts, what jumps out at you? I'll start with you, Phil.
But it used to be our strength.
Go on, Dave.
It used to be our obvious strength. It was the opposite. Teams away from home, we played with more freedom. We played our way. At home, when people put men behind the ball, we struggled. It seems to have reversed, and it's very hard to explain why that would be the case. I don't personally see an issue with El Neni. I think we're perhaps avoiding the issue that because El Neni's a £5 million player, it's easy to criticise him. But I think it's easier to criticise the person we spent £35 million on, because Granit Xhaka hasn't had a good game this season yet. And that's not me not wanting him to have a good game. I'm willing him to have a good game. I'm willing him to be the creative player I think he is, but we haven't seen it this season. So when you have got two, as you say, workers, and the sideway passing, it's just beyond. It's almost back to Peter Nicholas and Brian Talbot in the mid-80s. It's that bad. I'm probably not answering your question at all there, but that for me was the issue at the weekend. Absolutely no forward penetration from midfield.
I think obviously there have been issues away from home, but I just don't think mentally the team are prepared because at home, we know what we're going to get unless we're playing a top side. Let's say anyone outside of the top 8 is going to come and put 10 men behind the ball, sit back and try and catch us on the break. We know what's going to happen. So we can deal with that accordingly. But sometimes when, we play teams, we sort of control, like Dave said, it wasn't overly, exciting. We were just sort of passing the ball from side to side. We were in control, but we weren't really doing much. But then in that second half, I think, Watford went in 1-0 down, which is not disastrous. And Marco Silva must have said, look, this is not a Manchester City. This is not a Manchester United. You can have a go at this, at this side. And I think they realised that finally. And we just sort of crumble under any sort of pressure. I mean, you could see that equaliser coming. I know it was questionable how it arrived eventually, but you could just see us slowly retreating into our own half. No one was taking control of the ball. No one was willing to, try something. No one was willing to put their heads on a ball and get a clearance. No one was willing to make a good tackle. It was just really feeble and weak. And, we've seen this game so many times before. I can remember times in the past we've gone to Fulham and had similar, Newcastle, Norwich. It's just, they got that equaliser and you just thought, oh, here we go. And we can talk about the system and the structure, which I'm sure we'll go on to later. But at the end of the day, I think this team has a massive mental frailty, and that's something that needs to be addressed. Whether that comes from the players themselves or the manager, I think that's a bit of both. But I think it's no surprise that we're struggling away from home so much.
Dave, I mean, Phil makes some good points, and you made some good points as well. I mean, what really alarmed me was the fact that we dropped, and our intensity, we don't seem to react well in adversity or when challenged. And that was evident on Saturday. I mean, you could say around 16. Some people would cite the substitution, taking off Lacazette and bringing on Giroud as the point at which, things sort of change. I mean, if that was the point, we're talking about 30 minutes. I mean, I accept that we were known for dropping off in the last 10 minutes of games, but 30 minutes ago, we just really wilted under those conditions, and it's all too common. I mean, you look at, you could reel off many games in this calendar year where we've just not really stepped up to the mark. And as Phil said, you could talk about systems and structures, but the desire really was lacking. It was quite telling, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's funny because at the back end of last year, if you remember, like the West Brom game, the Bournemouth away, we were coming back, we were scoring a lot of late goals, we were showing resilience when we weren't playing well. So it's even harder to understand why that's not the case now when you're looking at mostly the same personnel. I mean, the only player on Saturday who looked like he was willing to roll his sleeves up and was shouting and cajoling his teammates was Nacho Monreal, and that's been the same virtually every game this season. You know, I give him the armband at the moment. He's the only one you look to and think he's because Lee Dixon said it this week, didn't he? You know, it's all easy to blame the manager, but in his day, you know, the players would be blaming each other. The players would be saying, come on, guys, you know, you're not doing it. You go back to, you know, Adams telling Vieira and Petty, you know, the turning point in 97-98, I need you in the trenches with me. It's all very well going forward looking pretty. Steve Bold and I need protection as well. And that was a captain, that was a leader who was willing to tell good players that they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. We just don't have those figures in the side. And please don't even talk to me about Per Mertesacker. I mean, why has that man ever been captain of our football club? It's just a complete embarrassment. I mean, his quotes after the game is pretty much the same as Theo Walcott.
Yeah, what did he say after the game? I was trying to look for the question. I know.
Well, basically along the lines of they wanted it more than us, which is exactly the same what Theo said after the Palace game at the end of last. I mean, it's just defies belief, really. He said it. It's not like Per hasn't said it before. I think it was the Monaco game a couple of years ago when he said after the game, you know, they just seem to want it more than us. You can't be an Arsenal captain and come out in a post-match interview and say that. Sorry, you just can't.
True, indeed. And with all that being said, despite all that, we took the lead in the first half, and we had 3 really big chances. Despite the lack of creativity and intensity in that game, we had 3 really big chances. We had the Hector Bellerin chance in the first half. We hit it with a swinger, went wide from a good position. We've had the opportunity when Ozil came on and he put Iwobi through. I thought it was a decent save by Gomez, but I guess he had options. He could have lifted it over him or whatever. And then you've obviously had, for me, the biggest chance was Ozil being put through by Iwobi. He's clean through on goal, got time, and he doesn't work the keeper. I mean, you know, we can talk about, you know, the decisions that went against us, but we really, and I think we've been kind of guilty this season of not taking our big chances in big moments, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing that kind of worried me really was the fact that Watford started with 5 in defence in the first half, and they were all at sea. They've only played it once this season. I think they abandoned that, and we didn't seem to take advantage, Phil. I mean, like I said earlier on, teams like Man City, teams like Man United scoring 4 and 5 at a time. Do you think, how are we going to arrest this issue? Because we've got Everton. We've got Bristol Belgrade on Thursday, and then we've got Everton, big game on Sunday. How do you see us arresting this development?
Honestly, this has been a sort of pet peeve of mine for a while now when it comes to Arsenal. Compared to all the top sides in the league, we're so comfortable with being 1-0 up. We're never ruthless enough to smell that blood or go straight for the throat when we know that teams are struggling. You know, you see United who've won 4-0 about 5 times this year, already. I know they're scoring their goals late, but that's the mentality you need. And City, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if they finish with 120 goals this year, you know, at the rate they're going. Even Chelsea last year, they were the same. Liverpool, Spurs, you know, we're the only, well, air quote, top side that is, you know, that doesn't have that killer instinct, that edge. And I just think that was so summed up in Mesut Ozil's finish, or lack of finish when he went through. He was in acres of space on his favourite foot, and he just put it straight at Gomez. And I know he was trying to give him the eyes and, you know, trying to be clever with the finish, but he didn't even aim for a corner. And that was so symptomatic of Arsenal. I thought, you know, the Iwobi chance, fair enough. I think that was just a good save from Gomez. Maybe, like you said, he could have done more. But I think that Ozil chance was the real game changer, and I think that was just typical of us, really. We haven't been playing with any conviction over the last 18 months, and it's just, you know, they went up and got the penalty, 30 seconds later, and that was just a massive game-changing moment. He puts that away, the game's done.
But this is why you spent £45 million on a top-flight striker.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. This is why you sign Alexandre Lacazette to score goals like that.
Yeah, you're right, and
take him off every week.
Well, there's always that issue, isn't there? With that, I just think that's poor management from Wenger. I think he's putting individuals first rather than the team, the collective, and I don't know if we're going to come on to that later, but I just think he's doing it to keep Giroud happy. Yeah.
Just come on to it now.
I think he's doing it just to keep the big man happy, which is wrong. In situations like this, you should never be putting individual concerns above the teams, and maybe whether Lacazette's tired or if he had a knock, we don't know. But just bringing on Giroud for the sake of bringing him on is not helpful to anyone. It's not helpful to him. It's not helpful for the team, and I thought we lost any momentum we had going forward with that substitution. He wasn't able to hold the ball up against some physical centre halves, and it just took away the whole balance of the side. And whether Giroud stays with us beyond January, I don't know if he's going to be happy doing this with a World Cup year coming on. But you spent 50 million quid on a striker. He's having some teething problems maybe, but he's scored a few goals, show some faith. He wasn't playing badly. He wasn't playing amazingly. He wasn't getting any service, let's be honest. Yeah. So just show a bit of faith in him, and I'm sure he can deliver, but for some reason he just takes him off with half an hour to go.
Dave, Phil said that, he's come on, he's brought Giroud, and Giroud, the ball's not sticking to Giroud. He's just not sticking to him. So why?
I don't know. I really don't know. I like Olivier Giroud. He's been a fantastic servant for this football club, but you play one or the other, or you play both. And there's a lot of people who would like to see those two tried together. I'm not sure I'm one of them, but I can understand that argument. But bringing Giroud on, late in the game, yes, it's worked for us in the past when we've been up against it, but we weren't up against it. We were 1-0 up and we were controlling the game. Last year against Bournemouth, against West Brom, these games he came on and he saved us when we needed saving. We didn't need saving at the weekend. We needed to push on, as Phil said, and win that game convincingly. And making changes just disrupted any sort of flow or coordination in our play. And the other thing is, I've said this before on the pod, but if you are going to spend that much money on a striker, you're making a statement. And if you're going to make a statement that you believe in that player, not only do you have to play him, for the game, but you have to play to his style. And this guy is making runs all the time. He's like he's like Walcott, and much as Walcott frustrates, you watch him, he never stops running off the ball and trying to make space behind and timing his runs. Lacazette is doing this continuously, and we've got no one in midfield who's looking for him. He must get so frustrating for him.
I tell you, Dave, as you said that, Jacques has not really been at his, he's not really been himself this season. I mean, I've said this before. I've seen him collect the ball. He sees Lacazette making the run, or it might be Welbeck, or it might be, whoever it might be, but usually it's Lacazette making the run, and he dwells. Either he doesn't have the confidence in himself, he doesn't have the confidence in Lacazette, but the chemistry's not there, and it must be such a forlorn thing for Lacazette to continually keep showing himself, showing for the ball, and it's not coming. It's not
particularly when Jacques has got it in his arm.
This is it. That's the one thing we know that he does brilliantly. He might not defend well, he might not get around the pitch well, but one thing he does do is pass well, and I just don't understand why he dwells. He won't see it. He sees it, he won't do it. He won't make the pass, and it makes you think, well, the one player we do have in our ranks that will make the pass, that was available, that was Mesut Ozil. So why not start him?
Well, and Jack Wilshere.
Okay, Jack Wilshere as well. But I mean, there's a debate as to whether Iwobi should start ahead of Ozil. Ozil's got the pedigree, the quality. Ozil's going to make the puck. I know Iwobi had a decent game in terms of industry. He was quite industrious. Kept showing for the ball, kept making runs, tried to penetrate people. But his end product again is still lacking. But with Ozil, that at least he's going to put somebody through.
Absolutely.
It really is a frustrating thing. I wonder if Wenger's taken him off, because I know he's done it in the past with new signings. He's sort of like, is it a protection thing? Like, is he protecting him? Is he trying to work him into the games? And then hopefully by mid-season he feels he'll be ready to do 90 or what, but whatever it is hurting the team right now. Well,
the other thing is, if he's gonna build an understanding with anyone in the same way that we know when we played Alexis up front last year, we saw Mesut Ozil's assist drop because he was scoring more goals. Alexis drops in, picks it up deep. Mesut Ozil's running beyond him and he's getting in and finishing the goals. That could be the situation with Lacazette and Alexis, or Lacazette and Ozil now. Because Lacazette, not only does he run behind very well, but he drops in to collect the ball, and we know he's got that fantastic low centre of gravity to turn and deliver a pass when he's come short, someone's gone beyond him.
Yeah.
But those players are probably Alexis or Ozil, and they were both not available to us at the weekend for whatever reason. So he's got to make some firm decisions about what's happening with Alexis and Ozil, and start selecting them accordingly, or not select them at all. This hiatus of uncertainty is not doing any good to the team. It's not doing any good to the fan base, and it's not doing any good to the management. It's just, there needs to be some strong decisions made, I think, personally.
One of those decisions, I think I know what Phil's thoughts are, but I'm going to ask you first, Dave. Xhaka, does he start for you at Goodison Park?
No.
And why is that?
I just don't think it's hard to tell because I don't know his personality, but sometimes you have to take someone out the far end line to get their confidence back. And I know that sounds like a strange thing, but it is said certain players might react adversely to that. I don't know whether Xhaka would, but he's not doing the job that he's in the team to do. He's not doing defensively the job. He's not covering the ground. He doesn't read the game even like a Coquelin. He's certainly not reading the game like a Gilberto. So he's not doing that side of the job as well as we would like him to. And he's not making the passes that we know he can make. And at the back end of last season, he was. So something, whether it's, as you say, whether it's confidence, just lack of form, you need to take him out the far end line. And also, Coquelin is fit. Wilshere is fit. I'm sure we will see Coquelin and Wilshere play together this week.
Yeah.
That's going to be very interesting.
Phil, do you agree with that, or do you think that Xhaka still should remain in the team and get him back with Ramsey on Sunday?
I would keep him in, yeah. I know he's struggling a bit. I don't think he's touched anywhere near the levels that he touched last year. And even then he was quite inconsistent. But I just think maybe changing the system up a bit, even putting a 3 in midfield with, we have the options now, especially with Ramsey coming back. We have Coquelin, we have Wilshere, we have Ramsey. I think just leaving Xhaka at that base, just telling him to stay there. No, don't progress past the halfway line. Stay just in front of the back four, pick the ball up, spread it. You don't need to do anything else. We have options for legs. We have options to break the lines after that. We have options to penetrate in Ramsey. So I don't think we're using him well. I don't think he's ever really had a proper partnership with El Neni for whatever reason. I think they're both a bit similar. They never really have an understanding or a proper, stagger, to progress play. But if Wenger wants to go another route, I wouldn't have any issues with him sitting out for a week or two. But me personally, I would start him.
But if you're going to play a 3, Phil, which I wouldn't argue with that, would you not play Coquelin or El Neni in front of the back four and use Xhaka's passing? Because Xhaka hasn't got that pace or mobility compared to the other two. So if you were going to play a 3, wouldn't you play one of Coquelin or Neni and then Xhaka and Ramsey, or Xhaka and Wilshere?
I actually think we need, honestly, I think we've seen it in the past with players like Xabi Alonso, Andrea Pirlo. Obviously he's nowhere near that standard yet, but he can play that role. He just needs to sit there and spread the ball. We have the energy, like Coquelin, we know he can run. El Neni, we know he can run. Even Ramsey, the engine on these guys is ridiculous. So I think they have the physical capability to push forward and drop back. Whereas with Xhaka, I don't think he has the capacity to do that. And especially if he's low on form at the moment, I think we just need to take him back to the basics and let him stick with what he's best at.
So you're saying more of a regista? I say the word regista like
perfect.
a form, but you know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then just stick some legs around him. Even
but to do that, you're going back to 2 central defenders now, aren't you?
Yeah, which I don't see an issue with. I think Mertesacker was quite, probably impressive considering he hasn't played that much this year. But I think Koscielny, I saw a report in the Telegraph that said Koscielny will be fit for Sunday. So, just put him and Monreal there. I don't think Everton have a lot of pace or height to trouble us. So, and Monreal's been excellent. So maybe just switch to a back four. we know the effect of switching to a back three had on us, even if we weren't overly convincing. You know, it gave the team a fresh impetus, a fresh system to believe in. So, you know, switching back to a four could be the catalyst that we need to get us going again.
Let's switch it back to the game. I was going to get your thoughts on the incident, the penalty incident. For you, Dave, was that a penalty or was it not? Because we've seen the referees. Clattenburg said it was. Poll on the day said it wasn't.
I had about 5 pints by the time it happened, but I thought it was a penalty.
Because,
although I was with 3 people who didn't, so I was in the minority. When I saw it later, obviously, clearly, I did think it was a dive, but there and then, I thought it was a penalty.
Phil,
now I don't.
Phil, why would Clattenburg say that it was a penalty in his book?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think Richarlison's obviously played for it and he's done it well, because when you're running at speed like that and you're always close, I mean, he was a few inches away from Bellerin and they were both going for the ball. So he's obviously timed his dive well. He's played for the contact in that Vardy-esque style. I think, the replays show there was very minimal, if no contact at all. The ball's gone out of play as well, which is even more infuriating, but I think he's played for it and the ref guessed and, he made the wrong decision. And when you're guessing, that's always, the risk that you take. So look, obviously I personally don't think it was a penalty, but I'm not really sure what Clattenburg has seen to be so confident in his opinion. So look, sometimes
he was the only one though, wasn't he, Phil? I mean, going.
Yeah, no, he was, and
he was on his own.
And the interesting thing was, you could tell Bellerin straight away. He turned and told the ref no way. So you can always usually tell from the player's reaction if it was a Stonewall penalty or not. So as frustrating as it was, there were still 20 minutes in the game after that, and we didn't even have a shot.
Reaction.
So it's just
reaction.
Yeah, there was nothing. Obviously these things go in your favour sometimes they don't, but the reaction was what annoyed me the most, rather than the actual decision itself.
It was just very frustrating that he couldn't make the substitution he wanted to make because of Cos picking up that knock, wasn't it?
But even still though, Dave, you could have still brought on Wiltshire and then gone to a back four. I mean,
true. Yeah.
Marco Silva did that. He dropped the 5. He took off a defender and he put on another midfielder, put on Etienne Capoue, and it changed. And he brought on Dini, obviously, and it changed the whole outlook of how they played.
Yeah,
the emphasis was different.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, well, I'm listening to Wenger too much, obviously. But yeah, no. He may use that as an excuse for not bringing on Wilshere, but that was plenty of time for Wilshere to really make an impact on the game. It's such a shame.
And I tell you another thing that really crossed my mind was the fact that, okay, at Chelsea, he was very pragmatic. I know most of us applauded him for being pragmatic. He might have brought on Walcott and he might have got a winner at Stamford Bridge. But we're talking about, with no disrespect, we're talking about Watford here, who hadn't won a game at home or something like that. I'm not sure. Might have got one victory at home or something like that. But there weren't any great shakes at home. And you're playing percentages. You've decided to drop deep again at 1-1. You should have gone for the jugular, surely. I mean, this is a mid-table team we're talking about. Obviously, they're fourth now, but it's not. You're not playing Man United. You're not playing Chelsea. You're not playing Man City away. You're playing.
I thought you were talking about Arsenal then when you said this is a mid-table team.
We are now. Yeah. Okay, so the winner. There, as usually with these things, there's not just one mistake. There's a catalogue of mistakes. They usually come in 2s and 3s. And Phil, how did you see it?
Well, you summed it up perfectly. That's exactly what it was, a catalogue of errors. From the timid challenge from Ozil for that aerial ball. That was 1. The throw-in was defended poorly by Holding. That's 2. Xhaka lost 2 of his men on the edge of the box. That's 3.
Whilst picking his nose.
Yeah,
according to the mirror.
Kolasinac slowly trotting back from the halfway line. That's 4. These are supposed to be professional footballers, and we could talk about Wenger's, if he's falling behind in terms of coaching and the modern game, but these are just the basics. You can find this on a Sunday league pitch. You follow your men. You challenge for the ball. You don't just stand there and duck underneath an aerial challenge. If it's the 94th minute, you just get back into shape. You don't trot back slowly from the halfway line. It was so bad. And I don't understand why what goes on in their heads for them to just completely abandon their responsibilities. I mean, it's just beyond me. I really don't know why. And it's just a soft goal. Like, sometimes you concede worldies, you concede screamers from the 30 yards, that's fine. Sometimes it's a good free kick, fine. A good delivery can cause any defense issues. But when it's so poor and, and can be easily dealt with, that's what really frustrates me. And it keeps happening, which shows, that they're not working on it in the training ground and they're not learning either, which is maddening, honestly.
You have to ask the question, what are Jens Lehmann and Steve Bold doing? What are they being allowed to do? Because you cannot imagine two men who would be more angered by that type of goal than those two individuals, except perhaps Tony Adams and Lee Dixon. This is a commanding international goalkeeper who screamed at his defenders when they weren't doing what he wanted them to do, and one of the most rugged, one of the best central defenders Arsenal's ever had. How can we be making mistakes like that when those two people are on the coaching staff, or are they even on the coaching staff?
It begs the question, doesn't it, really? I mean, he's not allowing anybody, it would seem, not allowing anybody to do. I know I was just quickly an anecdote, I was at training, the members day, and I just looked at the coaches, and apart from Jens Lehmann, there were a lot of old, tubby, fat men in shorts.
Neil Banfield.
Yeah, standing around with clipboards and pointing and, having a laugh amongst themselves. And I thought to myself, you look at Man City coaches, you look at, other clubs, and they've got young, fit coaches. And I just thought to myself, it's like an old men's club. It's a job for the boys.
Here's a positive aside for you. There's a tweet I saw, I can't remember who said it, but I thought, oh God, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Look at Mikel Arteta has been trained up by the best manager in the world, learning every week in coaching with Pep Guardiola. And, he's more Arsenal than he is anyone else. So maybe that's something for the future, right? That's a tiny positive to take from this week in my mind anyway.
Let's hope. I mean, my last thought about that goal, actually, the winner, was the fact that we'd been retreating, like I said earlier on, we've been retreating into our own half for 30 minutes, and it's just really galling that they get a punch on the nose and then their reaction is to wilt and to be timid and fragile. The confidence is fragile, and they're playing in the image of their manager. And, Roy Chesney came out this week and he said that, the difference between Arsenal and Roma and Juventus is the fact that with Arsenal, they only really trained specifically on being physical. They didn't train on the actual opponent. They didn't, there was no preparation for the individual opponent they're facing up. I heard on Sunday at Match of the Day 2 Extra, Jose Fonte was talking to Bernardo Silva, and he said that one of the reasons why he loves playing or working under Pep Guardiola is because they are so meticulous about preparation for the match. He said that you couldn't believe how meticulous Guardiola was preparing for Stoke City. You look at Maurizio Sarri at Napoli, and you're hearing that he's the same age as Ancelotti. He's using drones. He's using modern technology, science to get the extra percentage, the extra yard ahead. He's using drones to show his players where they need to be at certain situational opportunities. And we're not doing it. We don't know what's going on at the training field, but it's manifesting itself on the playing field, and you can deduce that Wenger and his team are not really, they're just not as clued in, they're not as plugged in as the modern coaches today.
Yeah, but you've heard people like Adams, and not just Adams, Lee Dixon, Ray Parlour, Alan Smith. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, they're critical, but they talk about in their day, even under Wenger, that, he did certain things. The players coached themselves, Ashley Cole was taught how to defend by Tony Adams, Lee Dixon, Martin Keown, not by Arsene Wenger. And that's all very well when you've got 12 to 15 world-class players in your squad and a world of experience. We don't have that. We just don't have that world of experience anymore. So you have to change. You can't rely on old methods. You have to change.
And the thing is, you look at Carlo Ancelotti, highly decorated, one of the most decorated coaches in modern football. He he went to Bayern Munich, he let the ball drop. Now, okay, they walked the league eventually after, they decided to wake up from their doldrums in the second half of the season, but you can see from what the players are saying, he left them to their own devices. They are used to being drilled,
Well, he lost his coach, didn't he?
Yeah.
He lost his coach to Swansea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Paul Clement or whatever his name. But, you can't leave things to chance in this day and age. Marco Silva, I'm sure he had, he probably prepared meticulously for the Arsenal game. I mean, Phil, there is a massive gulf now between Wenger's methods and the methods that are being employed nowadays, isn't there?
I just think we know he lives and breathes football. We know he lives and breathes Arsenal Football Club. But in terms of his footballing philosophy, it's his way and that's it. We know that planning to the opposition is something that rarely happens. We know that he wants this improvisational, jazzy style, but I'm not even sure we play that anymore.
We haven't in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a piece earlier on this year, and one thing that stood out was that the system has to complement the individuals rather than the individuals complementing the system. And you mentioned a few managers there, even Pochettino, Pep Guardiola. Just to go back to Maurizio Sarri, his Napoli side are currently 5 points clear at the top of Serie A, and they are motoring. And that's because every single player knows exactly what they need to do, when they need to do it. Their roles are defined. So, for example, he plays a 4-3-3 in midfield. They've got Jorginho at the base, who plays that sort of Marco Verratti role of dictating the play. Then you've got Alan just ahead of him, who's the sort of tough tackling midfielder. And then you've got Marek Hamšík just ahead of those two, playing as the sort of number 10, number 8 hybrid. But what happens as soon as one of those players come out, whether they're injured or they're resting, they have instant replacements who can come in and do the job straight away, like nothing's changed. Amadou Diawara, he can come in and play in place of Jorginho. Zielinski can come in place of Alan. Marco Rog can come in place of Hamšík. You can watch them and nothing's changed. And with us, we lose an Alexis, we lose a Ramsey, we lose an Ozil. We look like a different side. And that shouldn't be happening. Tottenham make changes. They play Heung-min Son, they play Eriksen, they play Ali. These guys can come in and play whenever they need to and still play at a similar level. City's the same. Sane, Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Aguero. These guys have defined roles, but they're all allowed to express themselves, but within the rigidity of a system. And I just don't feel we have that. And it's no surprise we're falling behind because we're so fragile and so weak. And, the rest of Europe's catching up. Wenger was such a game changer when he came to Arsenal 20 years ago. And you're right, he is falling behind and something needs to change.
I said the same, Phil, in the last pod I was on, that when I'd written about Ramsey after the Wales performance. But nobody questioned who was playing, whether it was Vieira, Edu, Parla, or Gilberto. Any two of those was fine. It didn't make any difference because they were all that good. Now we're always talking about, he can't partner him because he does this and he does that. No, he couldn't possibly play with him. That's why Ramsey's been so poor, because that player's not like Arteta. It's ridiculous, as you say. Everybody should know their roles and everybody should be able to do, within reason, the job of the next player if they're good enough. These are professional footballers. Most of them are international footballers, but they're just not drilled and they're not coached to do it. And they're allowed to walk round, and he constantly builds them up. Talks about their mentality, talks about their attitude, talks about their ability. And I know what he's trying to do, but I don't think he's doing them any favours.
Not convincing, is he?
I don't think he's convincing himself. I don't think he's convincing the players. But if he is, it's not helping them.
Indeed. Okay, let's move it along to the upcoming games.
Something cheerful.
Yeah. We've got Red Star Belgrade. Who do you expect to get minutes that could come in on Sunday, Dave? Who do you want to see?
I said I think Coquelin will definitely get minutes if he's if as said he is fit and training. I think Jack will start the game, and I hope Jack gets 90 minutes. I think those two will definitely play. I think I'm not sure if it's too soon for Chambers, but if he's fit, I'm sure he'll get minutes. And I think we'll see much of the same. Unfortunately, it means probably Maitland-Niles will play left wing back, which I hate to see, but again, I do rate him very highly, so I'm glad he'll play. We'll probably see Reece Nelson, but I think we'll also see
one of Ozil or Alexis will start the game.
I was going to ask Phil that question, but what do you reckon, Phil? Do you expect one of those? Because it's been it'll be at least 10 days since we've seen Alexis and Ramsey kick a ball.
Yeah, I would bring in Alexis. Whether Ramsey, we need the official word from the club was that they were injured on the training ground, but I don't really believe that. I think they were not in the right mental state to compete after their World Cup disappointments. I think Alexis will play. Ramsey is 50-50. Ozil again 50-50. But I agree with Dave. I think Wilshere should definitely get, and hopefully will get 90 minutes. Coquelin as well. He's another decent option to have despite, the criticism he gets. I'd love to see Callum Chambers get some games. It's just an opportunity to bring in some players that want to play for this club and want to earn their right to play for the shirt. And I think, even if the quality subsides slightly, I think we can make up for that in effort. And there's no better time to do it than against Red Star Belgrade. I know it's a difficult game away from home and, the atmosphere will be really hostile, but why not rise to the occasion, give them the chance to prove themselves, and hopefully that will pay dividends.
And then on to Sundays, Phil. What's your who obviously you want Alexis and Ramsey come back, injury notwithstanding.
Yeah, definitely they should be back in. Honestly, I'd love to see Lacazette in front of Ozil and Alexis. We mentioned it earlier. We've spent £50 million on a striker, and they've only played together once. Was that?
Who was that against?
Have they even played together once? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I think we
haven't seen enough of it. That's for sure.
No, we've put our faith in the striker, and we should be able to put the players behind him.
Was it Bournemouth?
Was it Bournemouth?
Did Lacazette and Alexis play against Bournemouth?
Was Ozil?
Alexis scored.
Was Ozil for a present as well?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think we've seen all three from the start. So.
Yeah, it's just bizarre, isn't it? So just let them, regardless of what's going on with their contract situations, regardless of where their heads are at. At the end of the day, they are professionals. They will play, even if Ozil's commitment can sometimes be, here nor there. But put our strongest team out. Obviously, injuries can change the ability to do that. But, we're going to have players fit regarding what happens on Thursday. So just put your strongest team out and go for it. I don't see why. Honestly, we've got nothing to lose, and Everton are there for the taking. So it can't get much worse than it is now.
Dave,
sorry, I was just going to say, I said I'd love to see Jack get 90 minutes. Thinking laterally after what Phil said there, actually, if he's smashing it after 60 minutes on Thursday, I'd like to see him come off and start on Sunday.
We played this corresponding fixture last season. Everton were in a bit of a rut. We went there, we were leading 1-0, and then again we snatched defeat from the jaws of deep victory. I mean, on Sunday, Dave, again, Koeman's in the hot seat. They're not playing well. They've got no pace up front. They are there for the take. If they were playing away from home, I'd probably say our chances were 85% of a win. But as it is, we're going there. Do you fancy our chances up there?
I thought you said no pace up front, but didn't Calvert-Lewin play against Brighton?
He's probably the only player that they've really got with any kind of pace. I mean, I'm not sure about Nias. I don't know what kind of a strike. Maybe Phil knows.
No,
but I don't know
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they are worse than us, without question. And in fact, they had a touch of the Arsenals in that they were playing. They're playing two defensive midfield players next to each other as well, aren't they? At the moment, in Schneiderlin and what's
Gay.
the other?
Gay.
Yeah, it's a Gay. So they're playing two DMs, and their fans are in uproar about it, which is what we did at the weekend. They are there for the taking. I mean, they really are poor. They dropped Ashley Williams, who's in theory their first choice centre back. Michael Keane's a very good player, but he's playing in a poor back four, so his confidence is low. I can't think of too many sides I'd rather be playing, to be honest, given that both teams are low on confidence, but on ability, we should be able to go there if we pick our strong side. Exactly. But I just think that creativity of having. Maybe I would probably not like to see Ramsey and Xhaka. I know Phil said he would, and you probably would, but I just think, let's take a risk. Let's just get some creativity in that side. I'd love to see Jack get some minutes in the Premier League.
So hopefully we'll see the four horsemen: Ramsey, Ozil, Alexis, and Lacazette on Sunday. If we get those four in the game, I'm sure we've got a better than decent chance of getting something out of the game. I want to leave it there. Please, I'm going to do a kills bit here. I'm going to say to you, don't forget to join up with our official sponsors, Bookie. That's BOOKE. £10 bet gets you a free £10 bet when you sign up. Please bet responsibly, and bad Betty, don't bad Betty, or whatever the advert says. I'm rubbish.
Betting responsibly means don't bet on Arsenal scoring more than one goal away from home.
Basically. All right, I want to thank both Dave and Phil for coming on a short notice. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
No worries.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Indeed, the same reciprocated to you guys. And that's been the Gooner Ramble podcast. Catch us on all the platforms: YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, all the Android apps. Catch us again after the weekend's games, where we review the 2 upcoming games. I've been your host, Giles. This has been the Gooner Ramble podcast. Thank you. Good night, and up your Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.
This episode of the Gooner Ramble podcast is sponsored by the new app called Bookie. That's BOOKE. Sign up by using the promo code Ramble, deposit and bet £10 and get a free £10 bet. That's Bookie, BOOKE.